I wanted to pull this video together to discuss bullying, bias, and bad behavior in the board game hobby. I will deal with topics of mental health, as well as exclusionary behaviors that survey participants and research participants reported in the board game hobby. This is Schooled by Gru, an exclusive series for Our Family Plays Games Voices, where I do a deep dive into my PhD dissertation research and share with you the findings before the rest of the world sees it, exclusively on Our Family Plays Games. I don't know about you, but this is one of the most uniquely difficult times I can ever recall in human history. There is so much wrong with the world. The ongoing climate crisis, the pandemic, multiple wars, so many atrocities that it's hard just to go about your daily routine some days. I know I feel very, very heavy and sad a lot. This is a really tough time, again, to be a caring, thinking person. And so mental health is very much on my mind with my students, as an instructor, in my family. This is really hard work. And I hope you're doing okay. And this is why I wanted to do this video about mental health. According to Mental Health America, 20% of Americans suffer from some form of mental health issue. And since the pandemic, anxiety and depression are on the rise. I actually worked in my past career in public health and was exposed to the work of Dr. David Williams. He's a Harvard University professor and an internationally recognized authority on racism as a key determinant of health. And he talked about the physical and mental toll of racism, incivility, being treated badly, as well as microaggressions, and how it's almost a death of 1,000 cuts when people are exposed to constant scorn, ridicule, and again, microaggressions in the workplace, during play, and at home. Bad behavior in any kind of space, a workplace or a play space, has impact on human health. And one of the things that Dr. Bob Sutton from Stanford University looks at is the cost of that kind of bad behavior. Dr. Bob Sutton has a dirty dozen, which includes things like unwanted touching, taking people's things, status slaps, like you're new here, you don't understand. And it actually has a very significant financial and health impact on communities. In late 2020, I conducted an extensive online survey of avid board gamers to find out what their experiences were in board gaming spaces participating in the hobby. I got a lot of stories like this one. This individual talked about participating in a wargaming RPG and talking about the GM not being very receptive to her ideas. In this case, the person talked about the fact that the GM treated every idea I had with disdain, and again spoke to me like my ideas were stupid and I was an idiot, yet none of the rest of the players, all men, were spoken to this way. And when one of the players decided to use a plan the GM had treated as particularly stupid coming from me, the GM hailed the act as fantastic and said the character had balls of steel. Another avid board gamer and survey participant said this: "I have not experienced outright incivility, although I have been in situations that come close to being white-splaining." Another survey respondent shared this: "I've encountered a couple of creepy guys in role-playing. The GM has stepped in with both to ensure my safety. In one instance, an older guy whose daughter sometimes played with the group was running a D&D in a pub and waited with me after the game until my flatmate arrived because of the behavior of one of the players. Neither of us had met before, spending a lot of time during the game staring at my breasts, and the DM didn't want there to be a point where I might be alone with him." The participants shared stories like this one: "A guy massaged my head without consent and tried a second time." 66.4% of the people who filled out my survey for my PhD dissertation reported agreeing or strongly agreeing to the statement, "I have experienced incivility, being talked over, interrupted, talked down to, dismissed, or ignored while participating in the board gaming hobby." Approximately 1 in 3 of the survey respondents agreed or strongly agreed that when they engage with board game topics online, they have received online threats, insults, and/or rude messages, at 29.1% agreeing or strongly agreeing with that statement. 26.6% of survey respondents agreed or strongly agreed that they have experienced unwelcome sexual advances while participating in the board gaming hobby. All of these stories and perspectives shared through my online survey and qualitative interviews with avid board gamers gave me significant pause. Board gaming, all gaming, is meant to be an escape, a respite from the everyday. We're supposed to use it as an opportunity to de-stress from our jobs and our hectic lives, but not everyone has the same experience in board gaming as a respite, a break, a little island of calm and welcome in our very hectic lives. And one of the things that I've taken away from some of this research, as I did when I was working in public health, is these behaviors have real physical and mental impacts on those that experience them. It raises blood pressure, it creates issues for your long-term health. And that's why it's so important to have inclusive, welcoming spaces. I'm going to land here on the quote by A.A. George, a writer I admire, who talked about how, for many of us, this is a quote, gaming is not simply a hobby, but a home. Let's make it both inclusive and diverse. And that's what our work is all about. This has been my 5th episode for our Family Plays Games Voices, all in honor of May Mental Health Awareness Month. Please remember to be kind and welcoming to everyone. It's so important now more than ever. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next month.